The night air is cold and thick with the smell of damp earth and fear. A young man, barely out of his teens, lies flat against the frozen ground. His breath plumes in the darkness, each cloud a fleeting ghost. In the distance, the low rumble of an engine grows steadily louder. A mechanical predator stalking the shattered landscape. He clutches not a factory-made rifle, but something fashioned from the debris of his former life. This is a scene that repeated itself across countless fronts during the Second World War. It was a time of immense industrial might, yet for many, survival depended not on the output of vast factories, but on their own ingenuity. It was a time when desperation became the mother of invention. In the face of overwhelming odds, ordinary people discovered an extraordinary capacity for adaptation. This is the story of that transformation. We will explore how simple everyday objects were reimagined into tools of defense and defiance. We will look at how a simple garden spade, a bottle of fuel, and even an empty food container could become potent weapons in the hands of those with nothing left to lose. These are not tales of grand strategy or industrial production. They are intimate stories of human resilience, a testament to the creative spirit that can flourish even in the darkest of times, offering lessons that resonate to this day. The conflict was a crucible, forging new purposes for the most mundane of items. When supply lines were cut and armories were empty, soldiers and civilians alike had to look at their surroundings with new eyes. A piece of farm equipment was no longer just for tilling soil. It was a potential weapon. A glass bottle was not merely a container. It was the vessel for a fiery deterrent. This shift in perspective was crucial for survival. It demonstrates a fundamental truth about humanity. Our ability to solve problems is not limited by what we are given, but by how we perceive the resources available to us. This remarkable period of history offers us a profound insight into the nature of innovation itself. It teaches us that true creativity is often born not from abundance, but from scarcity. When options are limited, the human mind is forced to find new pathways and create novel solutions from the materials at hand. The improvised weapons of the Second World War are a powerful symbol of this principle. They represent the triumph of human intellect and willpower over material disadvantage, a stark reminder that the most powerful resource we possess is our own ability to think, adapt, and overcome the challenges laid before us. Consider the simple shovel or entrenching tool, an item issued to nearly every soldier. Its primary purpose was clear to dig. Soldiers used it to create trenches, foxholes, and gun emplacements, the very earthworks that defined the battlefield. It was a tool for creating shelter and protection from the storm of steel that raged around them. In the quiet moments between battles, it was a companion, a means of carving out a small piece of security from the hostile ground. Its sturdy wooden shaft and solid steel head were designed for durability, built to withstand the rigours of constant gruelling labour in the harshest of conditions. Yet, in the brutal reality of close-quarters combat, this tool underwent a startling transformation. When ammunition was spent and the enemy was suddenly upon them, soldiers discovered the shovel's secondary, more lethal potential. By sharpening the edges of the spade's head with a file or a stone, they turned it into a formidable axe-like weapon. It was heavier and had a longer reach than a standard combat knife, capable of delivering powerful blows. The humble digging tool became a weapon of last resort, a crude but effective instrument for survival when all other options had been exhausted. The psychological impact of the sharpened shovel was significant. It was a visceral, primitive weapon that spoke of a desperate, brutal kind of fighting. Unlike a gunshot, which is impersonal and distant, combat with a spade was terrifyingly intimate. It required immense physical strength and a grim determination. For an enemy soldier advancing into a trench, the sight of a defender wielding a sharpened shovel was a truly unnerving spectacle. It signalled that they were facing an opponent who was prepared to fight with whatever they could find, turning the very tools of their labour into instruments of war. This dual-purpose nature of the entrenching tool made it an invaluable asset. It was not an extra piece of equipment to be carried. It was already part of a soldier's standard issue. This simple fact highlights a key principle of wartime innovation efficiency. Why carry a separate axe when your shovel could perform the same function? The sharpened shovel is a perfect example of how soldiers adapted their existing gear to meet new and unforeseen challenges on the battlefield. It symbolizes a pragmatic and resourceful mindset, where every object was assessed for its maximum potential use in the fight for survival. Perhaps no improvised weapon is as widely recognized as the Molotov cocktail. Its name is steeped in the politics of the era, but its form is brutally simple. A glass bottle filled with a flammable liquid, typically petrol, with a fuel-soaked rag stuffed into its neck to act as a fuse. This simple device transformed a common object, something found in any home or cafe, into a potent anti-tank weapon. When the rag was lit and the bottle was thrown against a hard surface, such as the hull of a tank, it would shatter, instantly engulfing the target in a cloud of fire. The device was famously named by Finnish soldiers during the Winter War of 1939 against the Soviet Union. They sarcastically named it in honour of the Soviet Foreign Minister Vyacheslav Molotov, who had claimed on state radio that Soviet bombers were merely dropping humanitarian food aid. The Finns wryly dubbed the cluster bombs Molotov's bread baskets and decided to serve Molotov cocktails to go with the food. The name stuck, becoming a global symbol of civilian resistance against mechanized armies. It was the people's artillery, a weapon that could be mass-produced in kitchens and workshops with readily available materials. While not powerful enough to penetrate the thick frontal armour of a tank, the Molotov cocktail was remarkably effective when used with cunning. Thrown against the thinner rear armour, or more critically onto the engine grills, the burning fuel could seep into the engine compartment. This could choke the engine of oxygen, ignite fuel or ammunition stores, and fill the crew compartment with suffocating smoke, forcing the crew to abandon their vehicle. The psychological impact on tank crews trapped inside a steel box that could suddenly become a furnace was immense. The fear of fire was a powerful deterrent. The widespread use of the Molotov cocktail, from the streets of Warsaw to the defence of Britain, demonstrates a crucial aspect of improvised warfare. It empowered ordinary citizens, giving them a means to fight back against seemingly invincible military hardware. It did not require a factory or a complex supply chain. It required only courage and a basic understanding of its construction. The Molotov cocktail represents the democratization of defense, proving that even in a highly industrialized war, a determined population could find ways to level the playing field, using simple chemistry and sheer audacity to challenge the might of invading armies. In the quiet, tense moments of war, information is as vital as ammunition. Knowing where the enemy is and when they are approaching can be the difference between life and death. For partisans and guerrilla fighters operating behind enemy lines, this need was paramount. They lacked the sophisticated listening posts and electronic sensors of a conventional army. Once again, they turned to the mundane objects of daily life. An empty sardine can, a few pebbles and a length of tripwire became the components of a surprisingly effective early warning system, a testament to ingenuity born from necessity. The construction of this device was brilliantly simple. The small, flat sardine can was ideal for the purpose. A few small stones were placed inside. The can was then positioned at ankle height and connected to a thin, taut wire stretched across a path or the entrance to a hideout. When an unsuspecting enemy soldier walked into the tripwire, it would pull the can, causing the pebbles inside to rattle. In the dead of night, this seemingly small noise was as loud and as alarming as a fire bell, instantly alerting the defenders to the presence of an intruder. This simple trip mine was not designed to be a lethal weapon. Its purpose was not to harm the enemy, but to announce their arrival. It was an auditory alarm, a low-technology solution to a high-stakes problem. It allowed small, hidden groups to rest with a greater sense of security, knowing that any silent, stealthy approach would be betrayed by the clatter of stones in a tin can. This device saved countless lives by providing those crucial few seconds needed to wake up, grab a weapon, and prepare a defense or orchestrate a swift escape. It turned the enemy's own movement against them. The sardine can trip mine, the sharpened shovel, and the Molotov cocktail all tell the same story. They speak of a time when survival depended on looking at the world differently, on seeing potential where others saw only rubbish or ordinary tools. These innovations were not the product of well-funded research laboratories. They were conceived in trenches and cellars by people fighting for their lives. Their legacy is a powerful lesson for us today, dated 2026, February the 8th. It reminds us that in times of crisis, our greatest asset is our ability to adapt, to think creatively, and to make the most of what we have. Before you go, don't forget to subscribe and stay updated for more videos every week. Hit the notification bell so you never miss a story of ingenuity and resilience. Your support helps us continue sharing remarkable tales from history, one ordinary object at a time.